how can we help foster the public-private partnerships, bringing American capital and expertise and standards to Africa so that we can keep exploiting, so that we can exploring where we can get these minerals?
The people of the Western world, the Americans and the English, the French and the Germans, they believe, they are convinced that because they came here in the 16th, 17th and the 18th centuries to establish a mockery of governments in this part of the world in the name of colonization, they believe that they have the irrevocable right to vampirize and exploit Africa until the end of time. They are convinced that it is their right to perpetually suck Africa of every form of vitality. Today, most of the instabilities in politics, in economics, in social structures that are being witnessed in most of the African nations, and in Africa as a whole, very few of these things are being caused by the resident politicians of that place. Most of the problems that we face in our African continent can be pointed directly to the influence of Western corporations, Western governments, and Western agents who know that the only way by which they can keep exploiting Africa is to sponsor instability, is to systematically ensure poverty. Look at the Democratic Republic of Congo. Look at Chad. Look at Sudan and South Sudan. Look at Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Central African Republic. Half of every nation in Africa is facing one form of political unrest or another, one form of economic instability or another, one form of social restiveness or another, because the Westerners have an eye in one or two resources domiciled in those lands. And they are religiously dedicated to ensure that Africa never, ever, ever escapes from their grip. This is a United States politician, a congressman, that has mistakenly used a word that explains their activities in Africa. They come down here and instead of dealing with our government with the respect and honor befitting sovereign nation, they rather connive, they rather use serpentine tactics to deceive our people. And because of the selfishness of our own local politicians, it is easy to use them against their own people. So that year in, year out, Africa is in one form of problem or another. And while we are fighting, while we are quarreling, while we are beating ourselves up, they are lifting gold. They are lifting uranium, lifting plutonium, lithium, beryllium, lifting crude oil. They are ensuring that Africa remains perpetually stagnant. We have been the third world. We have been the underdeveloped nations for the past decades now. We have constantly been addressed as being underdeveloped, the third world, irrespective of all the resources domiciled in our continent. Every African nation is blessed with countless resources, but you never find these resources working for the people. Because Westerners have devised techniques. They have devised techniques in their laboratories to ensure that Africa will never, ever, ever have true sovereignty. But it's not their fault. It's our fault. Because until the oppressed chooses to stop being oppressed, the oppressor will continue oppressing him. Any man that thinks another man has to give him freedom does not deserve to be free. So it's our fault. It's not their fault. We are the ones who have decided to put ourselves in subservience to their will, to every whim and caprice of theirs. It is fine. But there is a God that watches over the affairs of men. Africa has been subjugated by the Western world for hundreds of years now. And I believe that one day we shall be free. One day God will send down his judgment on the people that have decided to mess up the future of children, to mess up the life of men and women. The imposed leaders in our government, leaders who have no feeling for the land, leaders who are not even part of us. They look like us, but they're not one of us. They impose these persons on us, people we don't know from Adam. They bring them down here, they polish them, use their immense resources and impose them on the people. And these leaders are the ones who are there doing the devil's bidding. And we are fighting and killing ourselves, all for what? So that the white man can have the freedom to exploit our lands. That's the reality of the day. They say we are free, but it's a lie. Africa is not free. But we shall be free.